Hello, I'm the Geordie Saver, and this is my mortgage overpayment update for May 2024. So this is my favourite video to film each month because I like to see the mortgage balance come down. Yeah, started off the year quite well in terms of overpaying by £500 to £600 per month. I will say that I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself and my partner to overpay by large amounts each month. I found that if we're doing really well overpaying and then we have a month where we don't do as well, it's quite easy to lose steam and be disappointed in ourselves. So I'm trying to have a bit more of a balanced view at mortgage overpayments. So while my aim is to have the balance um come down by £1,000 per month, if like last month we don't achieve that, I'm not being too hard on ourselves. I think with these things, I've got to remember that even by overpaying £1, I'm better off than if I'd spent that pound on something I didn't get value in. So I think this is the idea. I think for me, obviously, there's an opportunity cost, and people point this out all the time on what I am overpaying by. So, for example, in January, we overpaid by £600. We could have done something different with that money. We could have put that in a high interest savings account. We could have maybe invested it in a stocks and shares ISA, which may or may not have got a bigger return. Or we could have spent that on a holiday. So there's lots of things we could do with the money. And I think in terms of my personal financial circumstances and my behaviors and my partner's views, like at the moment this is what we're deciding to do in terms of overpaying. And I appreciate that people put in comments about their views. Some people are quite nice with the comments, some people are quite blunt, but I'm happy to hear all views. I get quite a few always on these videos telling me that we are crazy for overpaying our mortgage, but as I always say, it's personal decision. And overpaying a mortgage, in my view, is, or doing anything with your money, to be honest, is also an emotional decision. So even though I try to act rationally when it comes to money and I try to use evidence and facts and figures, ultimately our money beliefs and how we've been brought up around money, they shape what we do with our money. And that's just a fact. I mean, if I think a lot of people will have read the Psychology of Money, and that really delves into that sort of behavior element of things. You can have two people with two different experiences in life, given the same set of facts about money or about a situation, and then they choose two completely different sort of paths of decisions because of their own experience and how money has shaped them. So that's enough of my waffle. I'll go through the figures for May, and you might be expecting after that spiel that we didn't do very well in terms of overpay May, but actually it's the best month of the year, so you'll see why when I reveal the figures. So we started with a balance of £107,062. The standard payment was £510, and then the overpayment was £887. So you might wonder, why was overpayment so big? So actually it was going to be just under £500. So what I decided to do at the end of April was to have our standard payment and overpayment be £1,000. And then what happened was I used the Sprive mortgage overpayment assistant tool. So it's an app. I've got a review of it on my YouTube channel, and I'll link it down in the sort of box on this video down below. And what happens is it's a mix of doing auto saves, so it'll transfer money across from my bank. It links to my bank account. It transfers, say, £25 across each month, and that pot builds, and then you can use it to overpay a mortgage. So it does a mix of that with also what they call Sprive rewards. So you can shop. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a retailer or something. I can do my weekly shop at Sainsbury's, and if I buy my gift card through the Sprive app, I'll get a percentage back that goes towards my mortgage as an overpayment. And I've been using this app since October time last year, so I've had 9 months of using the app. So I've had a pot building, which includes the regular auto saves plus the Sprive rewards, and they've just actually released a survey feature as well. So you get a few pennies for doing a survey, or it could be £1 for doing a survey, depending on what survey it is. So the pot actually built to £397, and I thought I had to wait for it to be 500 before I could move it across to my mortgage provider. But someone informed me on Instagram this week that actually any amount you can transfer across. So I was like, yes, this month I'm just going to transfer across £397. So yeah, that was it wasn't unexpected in the sense that I knew when it got hit to 500, which I expected to hit by the end of this year, I'd be moving the money across, but I didn't expect to see the impact of that money go across in May. So I was really pleased about that. The interest rate, as people know, I'm on a 1.16% mortgage rate. So the interest that accrued on the mortgage was £105. So you might wonder why it fluctuates each month. So there's two reasons for that. One is that the interest is calculated daily. So the lower your sort of starting balance is at the start of the month, the lower the daily interest. But also because the months have different numbers of days, and for example, April, there's 30 days in April, but 31 days in May. So there was one more day of paying interest in May than there was in April, so it's slightly higher. But if you want to do a kind of like for like comparison, January has 31 days and I paid £108 in interest in January. March has 31 days, it was 106, so £2 cheaper in March. And May has 31 days and that was £105. So you can see the interest that's accruing is sort of getting smaller, it's slowing down, if you want to call it that. I'm not on this interest rate forever, so a lot of people see these videos and things, oh, why on earth are you overpaying when you're on such a low interest rate? But I try and remind people that at the moment I'm on a just over a 1% mortgage rate. In a couple of years, when we remortgage, the likelihood is we're probably going to be remortgaging on a 4% interest rate. I mean, maybe the rates will come down by then, but if not, it may be a 4% interest rate. So this £108 will be a lot more than it is currently. So I think people have got to try and factor that in when they think about these figures. And then so just the end balance was £105,768, and the balance paid off in the month was £1,293, which I was really pleased about. So if I just look at the summary figures for the year so far, so since January, we've paid £2,500 in standard payments. We've actually paid more in overpayments than we were contracted to pay in standard payments, so that's £3,189. Interest that has accrued so far this year is £518. I will say that interest-wise, I'm looking forward to hopefully the next few months when the interest that accrues each month is less than £100. I don't know why kind of figures moving from say 3 figures to 2 figures, or like the mortgage moving from kind of a over 100,000 to being under 100,000, like they seem like milestones to me. So I'm looking forward to that. And then you can see the end balance there. So a goal is to have a mortgage balance of less than £100,000, because that seems really significant. It sounds strange, but a mortgage of £99,000 seems a lot less than a mortgage of £100,000, even though there's only £1,000 difference. It just seems like it's a lot more of a digestible figure, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's one of our milestones, is to get it under 100 grand. So then the balance paid off this year so far is £5,221, which is great. And I think if I just go back to 2023, we had sort of had a less successful year in mortgage overpayments, and the balance paid off by the end of the year was 6,196. So I'm almost at that after 5 months of the year. So it's really good going. So just in terms of the overall mortgage stats for 2024 so far, so the percentage of the starting balance that were paid off was 4% last month, and now this month it is 5%. The total overpayment so far is £24,828. So we are so close to the £25,000 mark, and that is, it seems like a milestone that's been in our sights for a while that I've been really looking forward to hit. So next month, we will be hitting that, which will be amazing. And then the overpayment preference is for the term to reduce. And I will say, I've got a flag here. I'm not a financial advisor. This is my personal journey, and this is what I and my partner are choosing to do. So when you overpay your mortgage, there are different preferences that you can set. So you could set it that you overpay your mortgage, and it means that the next month you pay less. So it's a bit like you could be like front loading your mortgage payments in a year, so that you pay all your mortgage in the first few months, and then have a few months where you don't have to pay your mortgage. That is, with some lenders, that is a possibility. There's other cases which I've done for the majority of my overpayments where it just comes off the mortgage balance and it doesn't affect the term of your mortgage. I did that for a while, so it means that when we come to remortgage, we would still have the same term length, but it would be at a lower kind of mortgage balance that we're borrowing on, if that makes sense. And then the other type, which I've recently changed to, because in terms of motivation, I like the idea of seeing our mortgage term reduce as we overpay. So my original mortgage term was due to end in March 2047. Since making this change at the start of the year, and taking into account the overpayments we've already made, that reduced to January 2044. So it was 3 years difference, so knocked 3 years off the mortgage term. Now, it's interesting because I don't know if it's a kind of £500 thing. So when I was overpaying by £600 per month, the mortgage term, you could see it reduce. Since I haven't made any kind of lump overpayment of £500 or more, because you've got to remember some of these ones, like £887, that wasn't all in one chunk. Like, it was a overpayment of 400 and another overpayment of 490, say. And this one, again, it wasn't all in one. I think it was a 490 plus an accidental overpayment, don't ask us why, of £13. So I don't know if there's a threshold where, like, it only reduces the term, possibly, if you make a lump sum overpayment of over £500, because I don't understand why this wouldn't have reduced. Maybe someone in the comments, if you know, let us know. I mean, in the next few months, if it still doesn't reduce from January 2044, when I've overpaid by a couple of grand, I will ring up my mortgage provider and try and understand why. And if it is a case that you have to, like, make lump sum overpayments of over £500 for the term to impact, it may change how we overpay. So we might have, like, a pot in our savings that builds up, and then we overpay it every time it goes over £500. But I don't want to jump the gun, because it could just be that this month was a funny one, and then next month it'll revert back to reducing every month. So that, yeah, as I say, this is my favorite video to do. I'm really passionate about owning our home, and I love making these videos. So if you're on a similar journey, I love hearing about people's mortgage overpayment journeys, or what you are deciding to do with your money. Drop it in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.